If you're struggling to finish your song, then this series is the series for you. In this video specifically, we're going to be talking about 5 different questions to ask yourself in order to finish your song's lyrics. Let's talk about it. Question 1 we can ask ourselves is, what happened to get us here? We can always go back in time in our song to get a backstory. Hey, if Hollywood can have a backstory for every villain imaginable, and then also other random characters, like who ever wondered, I wonder what Willy Wonka's backstory is. Nobody wonders, nobody cares, but they're making it anyway. So in our song, I think we can take just a little bit from that and think to ourselves, well, wait a second, I'm talking about maybe being madly in love right now, or the experience of being in love for the first time, but something that we can explore maybe in our first verse or second verse is what happened to get us here. For example, you could have a verse centering on how you first met this person that you are now madly in love with, or how the first date went, or the first time that you realized that you were actually in love with the person. Question 2 we can ask ourselves is, what do I think or perhaps hope the future is? So just as we can go back in time to see how we actually got to the present day situation, we also can project forward in time. And there's many different attitudes towards this future that we can take. For instance, we could say, if we continue on the track that we're on today, what will the future inevitably look like? Or we can talk about what we hope to change our future into, or perhaps what we may dread the future has in store for us. Now, this is something that could help us write really any song section. It sort of depends what you've written already. You could have a chorus that actually is constantly looking forward and worrying about a possible future or hoping for a certain future. But also, if you already have the chorus and maybe the chorus is dealing with the present, you may want to explore the future in a verse, or perhaps you want to explore it in the bridge. But if you already have your chorus written and maybe that centers around the present or just around a general theme, then maybe you want to explore the possible future in your bridge or in your first or second verse. The thing I would think about is, where should you talk about the future to create the most powerful story? For instance, if you think the story packs the most punch, if you worry about the future in the bridge right before the final chorus, then maybe that's the place to explore the future. But if you think you want the context of this future that you hope for or the future that you dread before the rest of the song starts, then maybe talking about this possible future in the first verse might actually be the way to go. Question number 3 is, what is a plot twist that I can add? Or seen another way, what is something that would change everything? Maybe your whole song is talking about lamenting that someone is leaving you, but then the plot twist is, but really they're leaving you because you cheated on them, which then recontextualizes the whole song. Or maybe your song is talking to your parent, expressing to them everything that you appreciate about them and what they did for you, and then the plot twist actually is, but unfortunately they already passed away. You're talking to their grave. You never actually got the chance to say these things to them while they were alive.
All right, I'm gonna go cry.
And of course, a plot twist doesn't necessarily have to be dark either. But very often, if you have some form of plot twist or something that sort of recontextualizes the whole song, most of the time this is going to be in your bridge, because that really helps to recontextualize the chorus for the last time that we hear it. It really helps your song to really end with a bang. And then question 4 is maybe a more subtle version of question 3, which is, what is a tone or attitude shift that I can have? Tonally, your whole song might have a very similar attitude. Maybe your whole song is moping around about how, oh, you left me and I'm so sad. Then there might be an opportunity for a tone or attitude shift where you change to, you know what, you did leave me and I was really sad about it, and I've been talking about how sad I was, but you know what, you kind of suck. So, you know what, maybe this isn't so bad. Maybe I'll be fine without you. Actually, you know what, I'm gonna be great without you. This is a great thing to happen.
But I'm not in denial. I'm in denial.
This question is going to help the most with writing the lyrics for your bridge, because usually your bridge is where you may have a plot twist, or you may have something like an attitude shift or a tone shift, as we're talking about with this question. So if your whole song is really sappy and happy and only sees the bright side of life, then maybe the bridge is an opportunity to bring a little bit of rain, or maybe just at least some clouds to say, well, maybe everything isn't perfect. Or if your whole song is down in the dumps, then maybe it's time for just a glimpse of sunshine in the bridge instead. And then question 5 is, how can I change where the camera is pointed? Or you could see this as simply a camera focus change. If you think about the story that your song is telling in the form of a movie or in a music video, you should be able to visualize to some extent where the camera is pointed. For instance, maybe your first verse is deeply personal and intimate, and it's really just talking about you and what you are currently feeling right now, all by yourself. Then the camera angle is very much pointed at you, maybe zoomed in on your face as tears are streaming down your face. But then maybe in the chorus, the camera sort of zooms out a bit and gives more of the context around you as to why it is you're feeling that way. Or perhaps it zooms out and shows a whole group of people that are feeling the same way that you are. Or maybe the camera changes who it's pointed at completely. Maybe that first verse was pointed at you and what you're feeling and experiencing, but maybe the second verse, the camera actually moves and talks about the other character and is now showing their point of view about the same events. So maybe the first verse is centering on your reaction to a breakup that just happened, and then the second verse points the camera at the person who just broke up with you and gives their point of view. A song that we all know that really puts this to use is Don't Stop Believin'. In the first verse, it's actually a very intimate story about two people meeting. And by the way, neither of these characters are the singer of the song. It's very much the singer talking about he and she who are meeting. But then in the chorus, the camera essentially zooms out and then talks more generally. Instead of talking specifically about two people and their experience, it's now talking more generally to our shared human experience. But then in the second verse, it actually zooms in again, but this time it's zooming in more on the singer's point of view, because now it's talking about I instead of he and she from the first verse. In the second verse, it's all about I. And then finally with the chorus, and then what I would call a finale, but what many people consider the chorus of the song, the Don't Stop Believin' part of the song, that again is much more generalized, and the camera is zoomed out once again and really just talking about a generalized human experience rather than the story of the two people in the first verse, or sort of the lead singer's perspective in the second verse. So changing the camera angle can really just be as simple as changing from I to we, or talking about him or her in the first verse, and then maybe talking about us in the second verse, or me in the second verse. These all represent some version of changing where the camera is pointed or how zoomed in or zoomed out it is. So if you try to imagine maybe a music video for your song, or perhaps a short movie version of your song, really think about, where is the camera zooming in? Have I really just stayed zoomed in on one character the whole time? That might get boring in the context of a music video. So think about how maybe we can zoom out from that one character and talk more generally. Or perhaps we can just change what the camera is pointed at completely. Point it at a totally different character. Maybe we can point it at a mirror and talk about ourselves. Or if we've already talked about ourselves in the song, we can talk about someone else that we haven't mentioned. Maybe it's the antagonist of the song if your song has an antagonist. Doesn't really matter, but just think about how you can change where the camera is pointed, or how zoomed in or zoomed out it is, because often there are so many more angles to explore with our song. And sometimes doing something as simple as pointing the camera at someone else besides ourselves, or simply zooming out, can be a great way to go to inspire the rest of our lyrics. So hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, something else you'll likely find helpful is my 6-step lyric writing checklist, because I think lyrics is probably the most difficult part of the songwriting process, especially if you really want to get the lyrics right. I find that the best way to write lyrics so that you can consistently come up with lyrics that you feel proud of, that you feel like are really good lyrics and would hold up as poetry, is breaking it up into baby steps. If we just stare at a blank page and say, improvise brilliant poetry to ourselves, that usually doesn't end so well. But if we break it up into smaller steps where we are requiring less of ourselves at each step, putting less pressure on ourselves with each step, I find that that results in a much better end product when it comes to our lyrics. So be sure to check that out, songwritertheory.com/lyric checklist. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will talk to you in the next one.